News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Allan Gilbreth, darkoakmedia.com.
And I'm Maximilian with pretty low-hanging fruit today as a Japanologist. I'd like to wish you all a very happy conclusion of Obon, and also for Joe, just for you, a happy National Roller Coaster Day.
Oh, okay. I mean, well, I can't pretend I'm the biggest roller coaster enthusiast, but I did enjoy them back in my day, Max. But what is this first holiday you mentioned?
Obon. So it's pretty much the Japanese version of the Day of the Dead. And you'd love this because the very last day, especially in a place called Kyoto, they have what I'd like to consider coordinated arson.
All right, well, Coordinated Arson's a new name for my band, but that sounds good. I'm guessing it's for...
So what they do is there's 6 bonfires that occur on 6 different mountains, and they're in the shape of certain characters or symbols, and it's a way to help process the dead back to the land of the dead.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like it'd be cool to look at, so... all right, well, so we got that on the table, and I'd love to know how people are celebrating Roller Coaster Day. I mean, obviously, there's only one way to do it, I suppose. So, or even if you can't get to a roller coaster, I suppose you could relive great roller coaster stories.
Oh, there's plenty of good YouTube fails about roller coasters.
Yeah, Allan, I haven't been on a roller coaster in probably 25 or 30 years, so I think today's technology and the advances in some of these roller coasters I've seen, they're insane. Like, they don't even look like a person could physically survive them, but, you know.
It's used for testing the Air Force.
Yeah.
For astronauts.
Okay. So
We're
anyway,
going to put a few G-forces on you and see what happens.
yeah, if you've got good roller coaster stories, we'd like to hear them. Well, Allan, today, I guess, you know, if I had to say there's a theme that's developing today, I'd say it has to do with rotted wood. I mean, is that
Oh, yeah.
It's going to play a prominent role. And also, okay, so Allan's week, he said he earned his walk-up music, which is usually pretty sinister
His
and
goat
horrifying.
scream.
So, yeah, pretty rough week, huh, Allan?
It reminded me of, basically how I got my reputation.
Right, exactly. So, and on that note, we're also going to cover something. I don't know if we're just calling this phrases we hate to hear on a job site, our least favorite quotes, especially when they come from decorators. I'm sorry, all you great decorators out there, you sometimes make our life a
There's
misery.
no sometimes.
Yeah.
There's no sometimes.
One of the worst words for me, and I'm not even a contractor, is just uh-oh.
No, well, that's never a good one. Yeah, but no, Max, we're talking about other things. We're talking about words that are supposed to sound good, but they actually portend disaster.
They're trigger phrases.
Right. Anyway, so we've got that. We've got 30 years of stupid involving rotted wood. In honor of the king, this is Elvis week, of course. So, in honor of the king, we're going to talk about Elvis Presley's Memphis, which is it's a newer construction in the big scheme of things, and we've all been there. Max, I think you've even been there.
What, Graceland?
Well, not Graceland, across the street. It's the big complex there.
Oh, yeah, I got to see the Pompeii exhibit there. That was pretty cool.
Okay, there you go. So, we've got a consumer warning. This is the one I'm very interested in, Allan. You said there's you don't just order any willy-nilly thing off the internet, especially when it involves home improvement and especially when it involves plumbing and electrical standards in the U.S. that maybe they don't translate in other countries.
So painful. Oh, my gosh. I'm gonna have PTSD by the end of this episode.
Are you talking about like that episode of The Simpsons where it's got like they got like outlets and they're like weird European outlets?
Worse. They look.
Yeah. We're gonna go there.
They look normal, Max, but like you, there's something
There's
sinister
something
Oh,
underneath.
it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Exactly. There's a lot more that we're not going to tease, and it's going to be a full day of action. But we'd love to hear from you as well on the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989. But before we get to any of those things, let's get to our must-have item of the week, which is, Allan, you brought this in. This thing looks like you just pulled it out from a mud puddle or something, but you said you actually cleaned this before bringing it in.
Yeah, that's the clean version. There's actually a pair of them.
Okay.
Just one of them's out on a job site. Welcome to the 16-inch industrial flathead screwdriver.
Does it have a nickname?
They have names. The pair of them are Frick and Frack.
Be careful. Okay.
Well, no, that's their names, Frick and Frack. And you have Frick right there. And he has spent a lovely week absolutely either destroying things or putting them back together.
Yeah, what I did, folks, is if you check if you go to @ToolTalkRadio on Facebook, I took a picture of this baby, and just for scale, so you can see how big it is, I put it up next to like a Sharpie, and I mean, this thing is huge. I'd have to guess it's over a pound. I mean, it's pretty heavy.
Easy, yeah.
It's more of a wrecking bar. Have you ever actually used this to unscrew anything?
Yes.
Okay, there's not many screws that need something this big.
Well, when you get off into the plumbing world, occasionally you do, especially on the industrial side, run into flathead screws that big.
Yeah.
The place the average person would run into one is probably in an older toilet.
Right.
With the screw bolt that went through the rubberized gasket that held the tank to the actual bowl.
Right.
So that's usually a pretty big, healthy screw on there. That one this week managed to get rid of a concrete tripping hazard, of tear out an entire deck, and put the deck back in.
Well, that deck is going to play a role later in the show, too, about rotted.
Yeah.
But,
all right, there are certain tools that are designed for finesse. There are certain tools that are designed for you to be careful with or delicate with or use properly all the time.
Yeah.
I have a small collection of tools that, let's just say, spent most of their high school years in detention.
Okay, that's a pretty good way to put it. So,
I have a handheld 5-pound mini sledge that has just been used to cause absolute devastation upon occasion. Those lovely screwdrivers right there. When nothing else will fit, you can get those in there.
That's what I was going to say. It's mostly it's because this is a very small tip compared to a crowbar.
Yeah, compared to a crowbar
or a wrecking bar. Well, the thing I like about this one is there. Okay, now full disclosure, if I'm going to be honest here on the air, I've used screwdrivers in a pinch as little wrecking bars and stuff. But if you use the smaller one on the end of the screwdriver, I mean, basically you're taking a hammer and you're smacking plastic.
Yes.
Eventually the plastic's going to give and it's going to crack. But if you're on a job and you need to get it done, you don't care if you ruined a $5 screwdriver. You just got to get it done. What I like about this one, though, is they're not being coy here. They've got a metal cap on the end of this, so they know what this is going to be used for.
Oh, yeah.
They don't imagine you're just only going to unscrew, gigantic screws with this
Oh, no,
thing.
they understand. And now one of the kind of the weird kind of cool things is you notice that the actual shaft on it isn't round.
That's okay. Good point. Yeah.
It's got flat surfaces. So what has ended up happening in the past is I have to nudge something.
I know where you're going.
You just have to nudge something, but you don't want to hit what you're installing with a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
So you put a little piece of wood in there or something, and sometimes it's at a weird angle. And I find that, because it's got a nice flat surface on the shaft, is perfectly acceptable to get in there and get the hammer and bang, 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 and scooch, scooch, scooch until that piece of marble or that piece of trim is where it actually should be.
Well, the thing I like about the square shaft as well, and I've used it on smaller screwdrivers, is if you have that really stubborn screw and you sort of lean into it and you can put a wrench on this, like a little adjustable wrench or even vice grips or something, just to give you that extra torque on there. Because, this thing looks like a tempered sort of metal on here. So.
Oh, there is no illusion. Actually, they come in a 3-pack because we have Frick, Frack, and Dot. Because the other one that comes with it is a number 3 size Phillips head screwdriver.
Okay,
made the
Dot.
exact same size. And I tell you what it is the absolute best for.
Yeah.
When you're putting in wall mollies or toggle bolts.
Oh, making that guiding hole or
that original hole is almost perfect.
There you go.
You just tap that baby through the sheetrock, slide it back out. You got a nice, perfectly edged hole that hasn't been ground down by your drill.
When you mentioned dot and everything, or mentioned the fact that it was a 3-pack, I was worried for a sec. I was like, "Uh-oh, was this the one that didn't make it?"
Oh no. They come together, and they are a absolute triple threat on a job site, because there's it's one of these weird things, Joe, and you've run into this some days. Some days you just gotta have something to wedge, something to tap, something to move. And in this one case, I'm putting in a threshold yesterday morning, and some genius built a trip hazard.
Oh, there you go. So you got to wedge something in. Yeah, sometimes you just need some brute force.
You need the Sons of Destruction.
The 16-inch flathead screwdriver serves a purpose. So a great must-have item of the week, and it's good for self-defense, too. So, okay, Alan, when we come back, you triggered me with this. We're going to talk all about buying overseas products for your home.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
All right, Max, take it easy. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, today is, among other things, National Roller Coaster Day. And
we're still in the throes of National Sandwich Month.
Yeah, the Sandwich Month, I don't want to just keep talking about the sandwiches I've had, Alan, but I mean, I already told you about that epic Italian beef that I discovered here in Memphis. I can't name the name, but great place. But we'd love to know your go-to sandwiches.
We've got some really good sandwich joints in this town. I got news for you. We have some really good ones.
Yeah, but I also want to know about the ones people came up with themselves, or maybe you've got that weird sandwich. Maybe you have a peanut butter, marshmallow, and bologna sandwich or something that is your go-to. I'm not going to lie, Alan. I'll just tell you this isn't a sandwich, but one time in a pinch, this is all I had to eat. I had chicken salad, and I put it on top of those toasted cracker sandwiches that have peanut butter. That thing was actually really good. I was like, okay, that's weird, but it tastes good.
I used to work with a guy about 40 years ago, and that's actually not an exaggeration. It's kind of scary. Would at lunchtime just get really satisfied with himself as he'd break out a big, thick hamburger bun, and you'd be like, what you got? And he says, I got a bologna bowl. And what he would do is fry a piece of bologna until it turned into a bowl.
Oh, yeah.
You don't cut them, they bubble up, right?
Yep.
Right? So he would fry this thing and turn into a bowl, and then he would pack it full of mashed potatoes and stick it on a hamburger bun.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, man. I mean, especially if you could do that out on the job site using welding equipment or something.
Oh,
good for you. I mean, we saw that one, that one Home Improvement episode where they did that.
I have on more than one occasion treated a hot dog to a very warm, we'll just say, inappropriately used equipment on a job site.
There you go.
I mean, isn't there that thing where it's like they're like making eggs like on like a car?
Sure. You can wrap stuff in foil, put it in a car engine, drive off, and your lunch will be ready.
Entire
when you
chickens
get there,
can be cooked that way.
That reminds me of an episode of Seinfeld where they stuck groceries inside the car.
We got to mix them correctly, Max. So, okay. All right. Well, let's. All right. So that's on the table, folks. National Sandwich Month is still in play, and today is National Roller Coaster Day. Just don't, pace yourself. Don't eat a sandwich and then go on a roller coaster.
Oh no.
For the sake of the people sitting behind you.
Yeah, gravity will not be your friend.
Okay, well, let's shift gears, Max.
And now, Tool Tales with Tool Talk Radio.
I don't know, we're calling it Tool Tales in lieu of something else. But Alan, you know, in our show prep, we were texting yesterday, and you just mentioned one little thing, and boy, did you trigger me with this. But this is a topic that I think is relevant for everybody now that there's so much online shopping.
Oh yes,
and you don't always go for the cheapest price either here. But what are we talking about here? So,
well, we're talking about what some company thinks is a good idea.
Okay. Yeah.
And they can sure make it sound good. However, it's not a standard.
Well,
Let's just be blunt. Of a type of furniture. It comes to your house and it comes with little hex keys and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you go and you tighten everything up and you build the furniture. Well, a couple of years later, one of those little bolts falls out and you discover that bolt is nowhere near any form of standard you are going to find in a hardware store.
yeah, you don't go to your big box store and say, give me one of these.
They don't exist
Right.
because it's only from that country from 10 years ago when they made 1,000 of them and nobody else wanted them. So you can wind up ordering things that quite frankly you can't support.
And it's one thing to get a piece of furniture and you got a sofa or you got a bookcase for $80. You know what you're in for when you get something like that. And it's like, okay, but there's a whole different thing when we're talking about buying a plumbing item or buying an electrical item, and it's not up to our standards of, hey, say what you want about our country. We have good standards when it comes to building, and if you have plumbing with high pressure water lines that are not going to hold up. You sent me a picture of this thing. It looked weird, man.
So putting in a faucet for a decorator this week, actually putting in 3 of them. Of one, the furniture that she bought was not compatible with the hardware that she bought.
Wait, what?
All
It
right,
didn't come with its own hardware?
So the furniture, the vanities, were set up for 3-hole sinks. Mm-hmm. So you got the little where the 2 handles come up and they're bathroom vanities. Well, the faucet she decided to buy to this was a single unit faucet.
Yeah.
Well, the faucet doesn't come with a plate.
I was about to ask, where's the plate? Because
there's no plate.
Yeah, usually there'll be a plate. To cover
day
the
one,
holes.
I drive out there and here's all these parts. And none of it is going to work unless you want these 2 big holes in your vanity. So they have to reorder new plates. So they order new plates. So day 2, we're out there. And you look at the back of the vanity, and there is absolutely no room for you to install the hardware between the back of the bowl and the back of the vanity.
When you say no room, I mean I've seen it. I've seen them where there's a tight
it's a
squeeze,
solid
but
back. There's no hole.
Yeah,
there's no
designs
place
this
to run
stuff?
the plumbing.
You got to get a wrench in there.
So-
and you got to. Oh man.
So my solution was my 6-inch pipe, my 6-inch vent cutter for drywall. So I just went to the back of the vanity and put a big 6-inch hole in it right where I need to put my hands.
Yeah.
So that I can attach this thing. All right. So that's, so we're 2 days into this and it's already the impossible job. So then we go to attach the proper length water lines and we discover that there's no threads.
Is it the clip-in place deals? Or?
No, even worse. These are a very bizarre size, only used in the country of manufacturer of this.
Right.
That is internally threaded into a spot where there's no place to get a wrench. And so you sit there and you're like, really? Seriously?
Right.
How am I supposed to thread this? How am I supposed to put some Teflon tape? I looked at her and I said, you know what? When this family member calls me 5 years from now and wants to whoop somebody over this, I'm giving them your address. I'm giving them a Google Earth right to your house. Now, I got to admit, the faucet is fun. It's fascinating looking, but nothing's a standard. You cannot go down to the big box store. Now, you might be able to go to a really specialty plumbing supply company, and they could probably order this for you.
Yeah.
If it still exists 5 years from now, or 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you're going to be taking this whole thing apart, throwing all of this away, and putting in all new hardware.
Well, and you sent me pictures of this. Maybe we should just post it. What struck me the most was there was these plastic waterline connectors that to me look like they should be a lot more rigid. They look like they should have been, these are where you would normally have metal connectors.
Right.
And instead these are plasticky looking. They did not look durable
They're
to me. They look like they're going to dry out at some point and
they're
crack
not
and
last.
bust.
They're not going to last.
And what happened? And that's not good.
No,
I mean,
no.
I've had faucets where they were in the same situation where you couldn't get to it. So what I had to actually do is remove the whole sink and then attach everything and then drop it in. But at some point, if that comes loose, you're not getting at it unless you literally remove the whole sink again. And who wants to do that?
And the problem is, of course, now everything is made with shoot-in brads.
What are those? Like, explain.
They're not nails.
Right.
That's that stupid, giant staple-looking thing.
Yeah. That tears up the wood when you try to
can't
move
remove
it.
these. So
you
this
can,
whole
but
vanity,
it'll wreck everything that you take out.
You can if you want to buy a new vanity.
Right.
So the vanity top is attached via wood blocks and brads.
Yeah.
So there's no taking the vanity apart. So I'm having to cut, literally, big holes in the back of the vanity to be able to install this thing. Now, I'm trying to make it look on purpose.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it look as, decorative and on purpose. And, I don't want it to look like somebody chewed their way out of this thing.
Yeah.
I want it to look, nice and neat. But it's got to be modified just to be installed.
Well, I got some parting thoughts because I mean, you like I said, this topic really triggered me.
The vanity of vanities.
Yeah, no kidding. So, all right, so we'll continue that. And then to continue the misery, when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio, we're going to find out what Allan did this week.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
When Pam gets Michael's old chair, I get Pam's old chair. Then I'll have 2 chairs. Only one to go.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, it is National Roller Coaster Day. We're closing out. Well, not we're closing out. We're in the midst, in the thick of things with National Sandwich Month. And also, we're in the middle of a conversation about what happens when you order plumbing parts or electrical parts from the cheapest source online, and they may have come from a country, they may have been manufactured in a place that isn't up to U.S. standards when it comes to plumbing and electrical. We have high standards here, Allan, for a reason.
Thank goodness.
Now,
Yeah.
what if you imported something from a country that actually had higher standards than us, like mega toilets? Like, they got really good stuff.
I mean, maybe there are out there. I'm sure there probably are, but
There are. We'll jump into that.
We're gonna get back to that conversation, but before we do, we want to talk about, speaking of high standards, let's talk about our good buddies over at Groundworks. Now, you don't play games with the foundation of your home. The foundation of your home is foundational. I mean, it's fundamental. If you don't have a healthy foundation, you're going to have all sorts of problems with your home. And they never get better with age. They never fix themselves. I've yet to really see a foundation problem that just sort of heals itself, Allan. And foundations come in all shapes and sizes. From you might have a slab or a crawl space or a basement, or a combination of all of those, and even you may live on the same street as somebody else and have a similar house, but every foundation has its own issues, and if you have problems, they may manifest themselves in unusual ways. You may have this odd smell over there, or you have this sagging floor, you have these stair-step cracks over your bricks or over your door frames or windows. Any of these things could indicate a foundation problem. So the good news is, if you get in touch with Groundworks, they come out. It is a very comprehensive inspection. They're going to bring all of their detecting equipment. They're going to inspect your foundation, and hopefully you get a clean bill of health. Everything's hunky-dory. But if you have any foundation issues, they're going to be able to help you from the smallest problem to the nuclear problem, to anything in between. And the inspection is free, so there's really no reason to do this. This is what they specialize in. This is their business. So get in touch with our friends at Groundworks. You can call them at 901-459-2290, or visit their website, groundworks.com, and book your free inspection today. All right. Well, Allan, you really got me going with this sink, especially when you sent me the picture of this. This thing is going to fail at some point.
It is.
And it sounds to me like the choice of buying this particular faucet was probably based on it looked cool, right?
It does.
And the price was right. Am I wrong? I mean, isn't that 99% of...
You're right in the middle of it.
And I don't know, man. I will tell you this, because when you're telling me your story of woe, and you're saying I had to make a big opening here, and I had to do this, and I had to come back the next day, all of this costs you money, and all of this is losing money. And I'll tell you this, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to be very blunt. I've worked in the past for certain decorators that I'll never work for again.
Oh, yeah.
Because they would do stuff like this. And it's like, if you're a decorator and you have no regard for your contractors out there, you're not going to be in business very long. You have to think about what do they have to do to make this happen? And you're the one whose name is on the line with this. If there's a problem in 5 years, they're going to call you. They're not calling the decorator. So I'm sorry. This was a topic that really it fired me up, man. And, so it's like,
and this is where advertising is not always a good thing. In the fact that, hey, this is we got to rush on these. We've got a limited supply. We've got there's all kinds of flashy phrases and words to get you to look at some of these things. And I'm just of the opinion, after 40 plus years of doing this.
Right.
All right. If I can't go down to my local, and depending upon where you live. Now, we're in Memphis. We got big box stores. We got supply stores. We got a little bit of everything here.
Right.
But if you're in a small town somewhere, you have a hardware store, more than likely.
Right.
You know what? You need to make sure whatever you put in your facility, your home, whatever, they got parts for it at the hardware store.
Yeah.
Because all things will fail, or you're going to make a change, or you're going to need an update, or, just things happen. And there are just so many justifications of doing yourself wrong. I mean, that's the only way I can say it. It's just, this was on, I love the words, it was on sale. I had a coupon and there were only 3 left.
Right.
And there's a reason there's only 3, because nobody in any sense would buy this thing.
Yeah.
And they buy them, and then they look at us and wonder why we are having a meltdown over having to install this stuff.
Right, right. Well, this kind of ties in with what we were talking about at the top of the show with, phrases we hate to hear.
Oh.
This is, I'll never forget. There was a period, where, you're putting in these bowl sinks, which they were trending.
Oh.
Anytime I hear the word trending, I'm like, okay, trending translates to me as a contractor that in 2 years you're going to hate this. Or in 2 years it's going to fail. Or in 2 years.
I mean, the pet rocks are pretty trending.
Well, and look what that got us, Max. I mean, so trending to me is not a word that I find appealing, especially, you're in this for the long game when it comes to your home. You're not putting something in that you want to be sick of in 2 years, or that's going to break in 2 years, now, especially if it's expensive.
Or overflow, or spoil, or blowout, or one of my pet peeves right now is custom designed all-in-one lighting that's LED.
Because you can't replace the bulb.
There's nothing to replace other than actually replacing the entire fixture.
Yeah.
Now, this is not a bad thing if the fixture's designed to go up and in rather easily.
Mm-hmm.
However, a lot of them are still very painful to install. And I'm picking on pot lights and stuff where you're honestly altering the building to put the light in.
Yeah.
Well, you just altered the building to put a light in that has to come out.
Yeah, just assume everything at some point has got to come out.
It's different if there's a part that can come off.
Yeah.
And you can change that part out instead of replacing the part that actually altered the building.
this again, I think, goes back to the idea of building with Lego in mind, because it's like, all right, if this brick is, kind of crumbling and everything, we can just, snap it off and just put another one again. But what I was going to ask is, this might be a little bit of an aside from what we were just discussing, but it's more of a question of semantics. If trending always means that something is prone to failing or prone to just getting obsolete in the next 2 years, I think maybe advertisers, is there a better way that they could say something other than the word trending?
I don't know. I mean, trending is sort of, I growing up, Alan, I don't remember the word trending. Trending is its own trend. I mean, trending has been around, about 15? I don't know. It's just,
all right,
it's a buzzword.
It's
Max.
an offshoot of actually a very good management philosophy that goes, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it.
Yeah.
Well, today we have apps. If you go shopping and you'll take a picture of your receipt, you just basically told some computer, hey, I'm this old, this gender, and I just paid this much money at this store in this location for these items.
Now the algorithm has marked you.
So the algorithms are out there, and now it's easy to see a trend because it's all over social media. Mm-hmm. Somebody does something and everybody else goes, ooh, that is cool.
Yeah.
But what is fabulous in Iceland
right.
may not be a great idea in Alabama.
There you go.
Joe, that reminds me of this great YouTube video that I saw you watch, where it's this guy who's just pretty much tearing trends to shreds, and I love it.
Yeah, he did a good job. He was pointing out kind of like what we're saying here. Yeah, it just you think you love those farm doors on a bathroom until you want a little privacy, and you have like
actual real privacy,
right?
Yeah,
yeah exactly. Because I think a lot, and then plus hanging those things is no picnic. I mean, those things are heavy. I think. Okay, here's one thing I will give. I'll let people, when it comes to the designers or whatever, trending, if you want to go with the latest trend for a wall color, fine. I mean, who cares? You're going to change wall color. It's harmless. And you're going to change wall colors over the course of your, so that's cool. But trending when it comes to tiling an entire bathroom, or trending when it comes to a weird plumbing situation or something, man, forget it. And some of these shower setups, I mean, there's shower setups now where there's like 30 spouts that, I mean, they're coming out every which way, and they're going to fail at some point.
This again makes me think of the idea of building with Lego in mind, because if we made things that are just interreplaceable, these things that are hard to replace, if you want to trend, if it's a little bit more modular like a Lego set, then you can adapt with more trendy stuff in mind, kind of like floating floors.
Yeah. And I will say this about closeout sales, I guess. There's the right kind of closeout sale and the wrong kind, and maybe we'll touch on that. And then I promise when we come back, we're going to find out what Allan did this week. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
How tough am I? How tough am I? I had a bowl of nails for breakfast this morning.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, I feel like, okay, Allan, I hope we're not whining today. Here's whining to me.
Warning.
Yeah, positive warning. Whining to me is if I complain about something, but I'm not going to do anything about it. These problems that we've encountered with, badly designed products, or having decorators trying to, get us to do these installations that are going to be a real pain and we're going to lose money. I just don't do them anymore. So I've empowered myself not to do it. And I hope we're empowering you not to make bad decisions on this, but I don't want to whine.
Because I think complaining is good if it leads to a resolution. Not if you're just complaining to complain, then I don't like that.
Yeah, so I hope that's what we're getting here. Also, I had another point I wanted to make, but Max, you said we had a text, and they always go to the front of the line. So
well, it was just more of a compliment. We got Denise said, Good morning. Really enjoy listening to you guys. This show has great information and discussions.
Oh, thanks, Denise. Denise is obviously not a decorator or a designer.
Well, we appreciate you being with us.
We've kind of thrown them under the bus this morning. But here's
Well,
what
not all decorators, but there's just some that get way too excited about that expired coupon that if they don't use it tomorrow,
yeah.
it just the agony people. What I'm fussing about today is the agony that you are installing for yourself in the future.
Right. You got to think of yourself in the future. Don't just say, it looks cool today and that's all that matters. Because
all right. Well, I have. We'll give my poor erstwhile assistant Angel a little quick shout out. Originally, she was doing her backyard, and she was, and I'm going to throw them under the bus, man. She was going full on HGTV.
Oh yeah.
Translation: she had 50 ways to die in this backyard.
Yeah.
Because there were cute little bumps ups in her pavement where she planted something, and things were basically a maze of a walkway. And now over the last year, working in facilities and seeing, I am just building death for myself.
Right.
She has redone everything, and now she has clean walkways, clean aisleways, appropriately sized areas. She still has all the stuff she wanted, and now a lot more. But her taste in where to put it and how to put it has drastically shifted to function, not cute.
Right.
So she has saved herself so much misery in the future because now it's so much easier to take care of.
There you go.
It's so much easier to keep clean. It's so much more functional. And, so I mean, the idea is if you make something too complicated, if you make it too cutesy, you won't use it.
Takes more work to maintain it,
If
too.
you create work for yourself, you will find yourself not doing it.
That's that death by 1,000 cuts type
Oh, my
thing.
gosh,
So,
yes.
Well, and the last thing I just want to say is this has to do with sales, and I think online sales and things like that too. So back in the day, back in my younger days, I worked in nightclubs. I was a bartender and did things like that. So and we had one of the clubs I worked at, the salesperson there they did these specials during happy hour from 4:30 to 6. You could book a group and whatever, and you get drinks 2 for 1.
Right.
And people will go, well, how do you afford to stay in business if you're giving away drinks at 2 for 1? Well, the thing is, between 4 to 6, nobody's at a bar. You have to do something to get them into a bar.
Right.
And so better to sell drinks 2 for 1 than to sell nothing.
Right.
Basically. Well, it's the same thing with a lot of sales. Like we talked about a couple weeks ago, a refrigerator that I bought last year. I think it was the 4th of July sale. And I saved $800 or $900. Well, it's not that they discounted the refrigerator because there's anything inferior with it. It's it's better to cut that $800 or $900 because nobody's shopping on the 4th of July. Nobody's going to the big box store unless you give them a real incentive. So those type of sales I think make sense. The sales that don't make sense to me are the ones where it's we only have 50 of these left, so buy them now. It's well, why aren't you manufacturing more if these are so great? You know what I mean? Those trendy items that are okay, well, if this was such a great thing, you should be still making them. So I don't want the last 50 of these things. So anyway, all right, I think we've done our part. But anyway, that hopefully that's just some good consumer advice. But let's stay on task here and shift gears again.
Oh boy. Humanity.
Maybe the next hour can be upbeat and optimistic. But Allan, this is we're going to find out what Allan did this week, and it sounds like the misery continued.
Well, Joe, you brought up a segment a while back about things we shouldn't do anymore. Design ideas.
Design flaws. Yeah.
And design flaws. And I am going to bring up a biggie. And that is any building out there that has an enclosed, a.k.a. trapped in the building, open to the outside world, atrium.
Like a courtyard. Yeah,
No, not a courtyard. Not a courtyard. A courtyard implies a certain amount of size.
So you're
which
talking
is
literally
usable.
about, because you've been showing me these pictures of these cottages where one cottage is literally 6 feet from the next one. And then there's dirt. And it was built in the 70s.
The atrium was 9 foot by 12 foot.
There you go.
It was
minuscule.
an easy bake oven.
Well, at least it's not a solarium.
Now, see, I'll turn around and tell you a solarium's a better idea because it's enclosed.
There you go.
These bad boys were from the 70s. 4 of them were cobblestone, no drains, in the middle of a building.
It's just a tunnel for water.
It's just a trap for pine needles, critters, and tiny little lizards, and a couple of really big black widow spiders.
And probably very little air movement through there.
There's no air.
Yeah.
It is an easy bake oven, especially this past week when it was 93 or whatever. It was about 100. We actually put a temperature gauge in there while I was working, and it was over 120 degrees.
Now, my question is if these are easy bake ovens, then why did we have them when pre-AC, and why do we still have them?
Again,
well, this is the 70s, so there was AC, but why? Yeah, they're cramming as many units into one space as they can.
They're cramming in talking points and features. Look, it has an atrium. You can enjoy the outside world for the 3 weeks in spring and the 3 weeks in fall where it's actually manageable. But of course, nobody's been in it in 3 years, and it was now a small forest.
Right.
There was about a foot of pine needles in this thing, plus the trees, plus the, it's like, oh, please stop building these things. Because I am sure the maintenance or janitorial departments would much rather have had that 9 by 12 space for some kind of supply closet. They really would have been so much better. The other 4 atriums, somebody went in. Now, again, no drain, nowhere for the water to go except dirt, right? Went in and decked these.
They put a deck on there.
Put a deck on it, directly on the dirt. Put a deck.
Go ahead.
You know what song I hear in my head right now with regards to Allan and his woes? Please, please, please let me get what I want.
Yeah, I saw this picture, Allan. It looks like they literally didn't. It looks like this deck is sitting on dirt.
It is.
And it's obviously, we know it's going to happen. Treated lumber is not indestructible.
No.
It'll
eventually
rot.
it's going to fail.
It's got to breathe.
Yeah.
It's got
oh my gosh. So if you're a designer out there, if you're an architect, please get the word atrium off your buzz list.
There you go. So, all right. Well, wow. Boy, did we sing some songs of misery today. But hey, I think the next hour, I think when we come back, there's going to be a little bit more optimism, including in our Great Moments in Building History, talking about the king of rock and roll and Elvis Presley's Memphis.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just waking up and you're just tuning in, we should tell you that today is National Roller Coaster Day. We are in the midst of National Sandwich Month, and we've been sort of, I don't want to say complaining, Allan. I'd say giving a lot of consumer warnings today and discussing design flaws and how it affects people like you and me that have to fix these things, and whatever. And
and it's
not going for the trends, just going.
It's
for things
avoidable misery.
There you go. Avoidable misery. Another good name for a band, but there you go.
Yeah, there's so many wonderful new products out there these days. And you and I have discussed big box store being overwhelming.
Right.
There's a tile store here in town that when you walk into, it is honestly tile spread out over an entire football field.
Yeah.
And I will freely give you, that's intimidating. That's big, but it's all good product.
Right.
There's nothing in this entire building, and I mean, I'm kind of giving them a little unofficial endorsement here, but there's nothing in there that's cheap tricky, trendy, or weird. But when you get online and you start looking at some of these hotshot specials, especially from some of these free trade websites,
Yeah.
you know, they got the little weird little names, and you can run around and shop for anything. I mean, honestly, these places carry anything from dog collars to robots. And you just don't know what you're going to get, or if it can be supported, or if you can even get parts.
Yeah, so just mostly we're talking about when it comes to home improvement. So, but hey Max, before we move on, you said we got a few texts here or a couple.
Well, we just got like we got a text from Brew Blaster.
What
He
did
said
Brew Blaster want?
He's in support of Allan with regards to Atriums. He said, I haven't heard the word atrium since Elvis was alive.
I suppose we should say an atrium. All we're talking about is a little sort of, I don't even know what you call it, just a little it's an enclosed area, but it's open to the sky. And so
correct. It has no roof. It has no roof. And
it might be in a set of like condominiums, or your house could even have an atrium. But
that was actually a trend in the 70s. A friend of mine actually has a recovered house atrium, a.k.a. later years, somebody had the sense enough to have the roof built over it.
Right.
So that it quit having a huge hole in the middle of the house.
There you go. So, okay. And did somebody, I thought we had another one. Yeah.
Oh, it was just Denise saying that she was asking whether or not Allan was the food dude.
Well, okay, that's a pretty big deal.
Yes,
Allan,
yes. As a matter of fact, I am Allan the food dude. So
yeah, I thought that was sort of obvious, but then again, maybe not. You know, if you're listening on Thursday mornings, you don't maybe make that connection. So.
Well, I find it very funny when I'm doing food events.
Yeah.
Everybody walks over to me and wants to know if I'm the tool guy.
Right.
And then when I'm doing tool events with you, hint, hint, Cooper Young's coming up.
Oh, right.
That's right around the corner. You and I will be there. I find it fun that, a lot of the tool people walk over and go, hey, aren't you the guy that cooks?
Yeah. Exactly. So, yeah, well, Denise, the mystery is solved. Yes, Allan is the food dude. So, but, all right. Well, we have a lot to get to this hour, but this is something you brought up off the air, and I think we need to bring it up on the air.
Okay.
So go ahead, Max.
The most foul, cruel, and bad-tempered rodent you ever set eyes on.
I just wanted to hug. Oh, rats in the kitchen, just like that delightful movie I taped in the theater.
Well, I wonder if this is a Critter Wars or if this is going along the lines of our Cosmic Homeowner segment. But, we were talking off the air, just in my own short, I say short, 20 years of, okay, we've owned our home. The home we're living in currently is about 20 years. In the course of that 20 years, Allan, there are critters that didn't used to be there that are now there. We have salamanders in our yard now. We have a little salamander that crawls up the brick of my house. We've had snakes. We've had insects that I don't remember ever seeing before. And we're starting to see this. We've talked about this before. We're starting to see, I don't know that they're called invasive species, but we're seeing species and critters that didn't used to be here. Maybe they even came from other countries or something. But what is that doing to us when we suddenly have this invasion of other insects and animals? And stuff?
Well, the number one invasion we don't want in the Mid-South comes from further south from us, and that is called a drywood termite.
So they don't need you to have
our current termites have to have a little mud tube and get back to the ground and get moisture and that kind of stuff. A drywood termite does not.
Those are the kind from like a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Yeah. So we don't want those. Well, this week while working at a different facility, we were clearing out a lot of wood rot. So we're taking these boards down, and these things have been up for like 50, 60 years. So I got zero complaining here. This normal everyday maintenance.
Yeah.
But as we're taking these things apart, of course, I hear somebody, holler, there's a bug the size of a Volkswagen.
Oh, boy.
And so I go around there, and there is the United States version of a wood beetle, a boring beetle. And these things are about 2 inches long. They're not going to hurt you. They'll probably make you hurt yourself. But it's, they're big.
A big beetle.
They're big. They are.
They were it was like a reddish brown beetle.
Yeah, big, giant thing.
And you told me that portends disaster, right?
Well, that portends that wood is rotted.
Okay.
So if you see one of these things, walking around, chances are you've got rotten wood somewhere that needs to be addressed.
I just imagine like these beetles like sitting around a cauldron and everything, like like they're like the fates in like a Shakespeare play, like
Okay.
double toil and trouble.
Well,
all right, thanks, Max.
The other 2 critters that I have noticed in the Mid-South in the last couple of years of being from South Texas, all right, I am from much further south, so this is why the heat doesn't bother me as bad. I'm from the swamps of Houston.
Oh, yeah.
And down there in Houston, you have a wasp called a cicada killer. And this thing is
We've seen those here.
We have them in Memphis now. They're about 3 inches long. They sound like a small Huey helicopter, and they could care less about you. They want nothing to do with you, but he will fly over to you and check you to see if you're packing any cicadas.
I was going to say, I've had those things just fly into me. Like they fly into, and you feel like you get this thump on your arm, and it's like they didn't sting.
No. They don't want anything to do with you.
They're
Don't
really
freak
cruel
out.
to cicadas,
They're
though.
They're going to take out a cicada.
Yeah.
The other one is deceptively absolutely beautiful.
Hold, I got a question, though, Alan, because like I said, I've lived in the Mid-South about 30 years, and I don't remember cicada killers till about 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, they start showing up. Yep.
But I mean, have they always been here? Or
Nope.
Did they so this is another group that just sort of came in.
They've been moving north over the years. Armadillos. We didn't have armadillos when I first moved here. Armadillos are now here. I saw a groundhog off of Walnut Grove a couple of days ago. And
just strolling down Walnut Grove.
He's walking down the side of the street, just doo-doo-doo, minding his own business. And if you guys think a mole can take out your yard,
oh boy,
you haven't seen anything compared to these guys.
You're talking about like from Groundhog's Day.
Like
I am
Punxsutawney
talking.
Phil.
Yeah,
wow.
we're talking from Groundhog Day. The other one I want to throw out there that has shown up that used to be one of my neighbors in Texas is a really big, about 2-inch long, and it's going to be bright fire engine red, and it looks like it's made out of velvet. And it's called a velvet ant.
So it
ain't an ant.
Gosh, a
It just
2-inch
looks
ant
like an
sounds
ant.
like something out of a Steven
It
Spielberg movie.
It is something out of a horror movie, but they're so beautiful. They're so bright red. This is actually a female wasp.
So it's got wings.
Nope.
Oh.
The boys have wings. The girls are flightless.
But it's a wasp.
It is a wasp, and she is packing a stinger that we used to call the cattle killer.
Oh, wow.
If she pops you, you're going to feel like you just took a 22 bullet. So if you see one of these things, leave it alone. She don't want anything to do with you. She's minding her own business, but they're so brightly colored that pets have a tendency to be attracted to them, or kids have a tendency to want to play with them.
It kind of makes me
Do
think.
not play with this thing.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me think of the idea of going back to the idea of wolf in sheep's clothing, like the idea of deceptive species. Like there's something I heard about this. There's a one called the spotted lanternfly, and they're like damaging crops around the U.S.
And they fly about as well as a rock.
Yeah.
You wonder how they're spreading. Our buddies down in Florida are dealing with an apple snail invasion. And one of the snails lays eggs in these bright pink clusters, and they love to put them on concrete.
So I guess the more interconnected we're becoming as a society, the more we're mixing and matching animals and critters that don't really need to blend, I guess.
Yeah,
So.
we don't need some of these critters.
Okay. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Can't find my checkbook. Hope you don't mind I pay you in change.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, it is National Sandwich Month. We are in the middle of that, and we would like a little more feedback, please. I'd like to know your go-to sandwich. Maybe you've invented a sandwich that you're particularly proud of, and, feel free to share the recipe here. Or maybe a sandwich you avoid at all costs. We don't know. But that's on the table. And, of course, today is National Roller Coaster Day. Hey, Max, I didn't prepare you for this, but you were mentioning something, and I feel like this would be a better lead-in for our great moments in building history. But I guess from the mind of Max, you were talking about archaic architecture.
And now, a deep cut with Maximilian.
And what did you mean by this?
Well, it's the idea of that, there are certain buildings that are worth preserving for their historical value, even though their architecture is fairly obsolete and, perhaps even hazardous. Like, for example, like the old, like those historic districts in like the East Coast, stuff like that.
Okay, so are you talking about just because as a cultural, I don't know what we want to say. Just to remember, because it's one thing to talk about something, but when you have an actual structure and I hate to say it, I always think of the Coliseum every time I drive by there. It's kind of obsolete, but a lot of famous people played there. A lot of historic events happened there. Is that what you mean, Max? Or
something like that. Or like the idea of architectural styles that have since gone out of vogue.
Well, basically, I'm going to say kind of a terrible thing. And
this we know you have no sentimentality, Allan.
Besides the fact that, left on a desert island, I will be the one who starves last.
Yeah.
I know.
There you go.
The simple, horrible, terrible fact is not every old building is worth saving.
Well,
there
isn't
are
that sort of subjective, though?
Well, it is. And it's subjective from the point of view of what happened here, what actually happened here. Mm-hmm. There are a number of buildings. As a matter of fact, there's a really cool TV show all about abandoned things.
Oh, yeah.
And here in Memphis, we've got two amazing buildings that are being brought back to life. We have the Sterrick Building, which was a Gothic revival that is absolutely a stunning building. And then we had a state-of-the-art 1960s 100 North Main,
right,
complete with revolving restaurant on the top and all of these amazing features. And I'll even pick on the Sears Crosstown building, which was a 1 million square foot warehouse, but it was built in such a way that it could handle, honestly, tons and tons and tons of merchandise.
Yeah.
So, 40 years after it fell out of usage, we had a building basically designed like a giant 8-story bomb shelter with massive concrete pillars, massive walkways. And now we have the amazing concourse because somebody had the vision of looking at this. But I do agree with Max. There are a lot of buildings that are past their economic life and are also past basically what I would say is their safe life. Because of a construction technique used at the time, maybe the way the infrastructure was designed. There are lots of different philosophies from Mr. Eiffel. So we have Eiffel's Tower, and then we have the Ferris wheel, and we have a lot of ironworks that had different design ideas. Some of them were much better than others.
Yeah.
Which is why in Vegas, casinos, there is no sentimentality in Vegas about a casino.
Oh, they don't care.
If the casino's at the end of its lifespan, it's at the end of its economic use, expect to see that baby come down, that land get cleared, and a new modern facility go up.
Oh, I've seen the Ocean's movies. I know about the lack of sentimentality with casinos.
Yes.
Yeah. But Max, I think you're talking from a point of view of I hate to say it, but it's part of the emotion attached to it, but it's also just part of what it means to, like I would say, the memories. I'll tell you this: I'm dealing with this in my own life to a degree. So I'm from, as you know, folks, I'm not from Memphis. I was born in Chicago. More specifically, I grew up in the charming village of Glen Ellen, Illinois. It is a really, it's just a cool town. It's just a very interesting historic town. It was built in 1834. Well, Allan, I went to Glenbard West High School, which was built like it's called the Castle on the Hill. And right now there are developers who want to remove the back. They want to change the architecture of this school and add on this big kind of tacky looking addition because it's a real prestigious school, but it'd be like, we know what Rhodes College looks like. It's that same kind of architecture. Imagine taking off the left side of Rhodes College and putting on some modern with a lot of glass and whatever. It just doesn't work. It takes away the character of the building, and they're fighting developers, and the people in the town don't want this. And I don't know. There's something to be said to me to maintaining a certain standard and something that doesn't, I don't know, that respects its history, basically. So
there's so many economic factors that come into play with that. There have been so many projects in the past, whether it's in Memphis or anywhere in the world, where everybody was utterly against it until it was done. Then they loved it. And there are a number of projects that everybody loved while they were building it, until the finished product arrived and everybody went, oh, what did we do?
Right.
Oh, my goodness. And we've talked about examples around the world like that.
But you can't undo it once.
Makes me think of Frankenstein's monster, because it's like Dr. Frankenstein, after making the creature, literally fled and was like, no, not having this.
Right. So,
well,
yeah.
it happens. And again, with, the people that design past architecture versus modern architecture, we still have Roman bridges all over Europe.
Yeah.
That were designed.
And they still work.
2,000 years ago that are working just as good today as they were then. We have other bridges that have been retired because, Now, where is London Bridge? The London Bridge of
I know,
song and
because
fame.
I listen to Tool Talk Radio.
Yes, it's in Lake Havasu, Arizona, because developers bought it because it was no longer useful where it was. But because it was the London Bridge, it got moved to Arizona.
Now, wait a minute, Allan. I think you're almost making Max's case here, though, because if you go to Italy, if you go to Rome, even more specifically, you'll see ruins and you'll see things that are not functional, like the Colosseum, that they didn't just tear down. They left it for its historic value as a testament to our, there was probably a time around the year 300 or 400 where they might have said, well, do we just tear this thing down? Or, and
well, that's what happened to a lot of it.
They removed some of it, and they probably were kicking themselves like, why did we do this? This was,
Well, 300 years later, we were kicking ourselves going, we didn't really need all those bathrooms. So this is a very difficult, emotionally laden project when you start looking at an old building versus what it costs to make it safe by modern standards versus the emotional attachment you may have to it. I'm going to tell you, for many municipalities listening, I'm going to tell you, if you got to do something, go ahead and just tear off the bandage. Just get it done. Because the longer you let it linger, the longer it's just gonna linger.
Okay, but I'm gonna say this, Allan, because in my charming little village of Glen Ellen, they've done projects where the developer said, we're doing this whether you guys like it or not. And once it was done, it really upset a lot of people, and it took away the character of areas. So my thing would be the community has to be behind it within reason. You can't just come in and just do something that. Because I'll tell you this, in Glen Ellen, nobody wants this done at Glenbard West. Like if the community has their say, this is not going to happen. But if the right people get paid off, or the right developer spent, I don't know, that's what bugs me about this stuff. Is I think the community has to feel good about it. We're not going to go in and tear down Stonehenge or any of these
What says you?
So I mean, make sure the community's behind it. So
Yeah, make sure you are at least trying to match the aesthetic.
Speaking of having the community behind you, this will be good. When we come back in our great moments in building history, we're going to talk about Elvis Presley's Memphis.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And now for the finishing touch.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, there's a lot to recap, and we don't have time to do it. So you're out of luck, but not entirely, Alan. If they missed any past episodes of Tool Talk Radio and they're wanting to catch up, I bet you there's a resource for that.
There is indeed. We are happily an international podcast. We are in, I think we're in like 30 different countries now, Joe. We're like everywhere. So you can pop over to Spotify or YouTube or any place where you get your podcast, and you can look up Tool Talk Radio, or you can just go to tooltalkradio.com and we'll have all the links for you there.
Yeah, lots of, and it's good, when you're trying to get motivated for that home improvement project. If you're on your way on a Saturday morning to the big box store, it's
everybody compliments us that we're great background noise for just getting stuff done.
Not the worst thing in the world. So
I'll take it.
In a minute, we're going to get to our great moments in building history. But before we do that, let's talk about our good buddy, Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. Actually, in a moment, we're about to talk about a Memphis institution. Really, it's a worldwide institution here in Memphis. But speaking of a Memphis institution, Big Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling is one of the top-rated roofers in this entire region. He is always 5 stars with the Better Business Bureau. He's a GAF Master Elite Installer, and always 5 stars with Good Housekeeping as well. But Big M Roofing and Remodeling is all about the exterior protection of your home, from roofing to gutters to siding to windows, and all interior and exterior remodeling except for kitchens and bathrooms. He wants no part of that. Think of the Jay avoids all the trendy stuff we were talking about.
Oh, he does, for so many good reasons.
And I bet you Jay avoids building atriums too.
Oh, boy.
That Allan was contending with this week. But when it comes to the exterior protection of your home as well, sometimes you may have problems with your home that you wonder, is this covered by my homeowner's insurance? And one of the things that sets Jay apart is the fact that he's a former insurance agent. Jay knows all about the process of filing claims and how to understand the process of making a claim when it comes to your homeowner's insurance. So if you suspect you might have a problem, call Jay. Really should be the first person you call. He's going to come out. It's a free inspection. He's going to look over the situation, and if there's a path forward, he can help you navigate that entire claims process, which he takes something that's kind of scary and daunting and he turns it into something exciting, which he did that for you and I, Alan. That's how I got a new roof on my house.
Mm-hmm.
But Jay brings a real energy and optimism to every project he's a part of. And one of the things that also, his prices are very competitive because Jay is a very wise businessman. He keeps his overhead as low as possible. And he also has a great business culture that he encourages you to call him directly. So when you call, you're going to be talking to Jay Hill himself. And so we encourage you to do that. Give him a call at 901-484-5645 or go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com. All right, you guys. Well, here we go.
And now, great moments in building history.
Now, it is Elvis week, and honestly, so far the weather is cooperating. It's August. I mean, you're going to get August weather, but it's not pouring down rain. We've had occasional rain, but nothing that's ruining the events, I guess. I think last night was the candlelight vigil, and I know in the past we actually talked about Graceland, but there's a lot more going on over there, and because we know we have listeners outside of Memphis. But honestly, Alan, there's a lot of times when you live in a city, like when I lived in San Diego, I never went to the zoo. Sometimes we miss stuff in our own community, so you may not realize, even if you live here in Memphis, about some of the really the Elvis complex over there. It's almost like Elvis World over there. But
pretty close.
In 2017, they opened Elvis Presley's Memphis, and it's a 200,000 square foot complex. It's really almost like a little town square. It's pretty cool over there, man. The Elvis Museum, there's a sound stage. There's a lot of big name, a lot of concerts that come through there. So, Max, is that where you saw Weird Al, or was that?
No, that was somewhere maybe in North Mississippi or
Anyway.
East Tennessee. I went to see the Pompeii exhibit there.
Okay, yeah, and that was another addition. So, but it's definitely noteworthy. It's definitely good for the community. I mean, we've got visitors worldwide that are there this week and hanging out, Alan. So, I mean,
well, let's kind of start at the beginning. In 1939, Furbringer and Airman on a 14-acre lot built a big colonial revival. And
you're going to the very beginning.
That is Graceland.
Yeah.
So Graceland was from the very minute it was built to be a showcase. Had nothing to do with Elvis, obviously, in 1939, but 14 acres, big colonial revival, big house on the hill with the big driveway. So I mean, this was
it's a big property when you think about it.
This was a statement piece,
right,
from the very, very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, many, 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 many years later, here comes Elvis, and he buys a statement piece house, and it's big enough for him to ride his motorcycles around the yard. It's far enough back from the street so that he can close the gates. And if he wanted to, he could ride down to the front and visit with the people looking at his house.
Which I guess he did.
Which he
did.
Which he did. And part of beginning of Elvis Land was a man named Clint Thomas who built a appliance store right outside the gates of Graceland.
I knew you'd get around to this guy because you have a connection there, right?
I have a connection there. I worked in that store, and
right.
Yes, all the rumors are true. And of Elvis, and there was a deal there because Elvis liked to give stuff away.
Yeah,
he was and back in those days, if you gave somebody a television, you were giving somebody an $800 or $900 gift.
Yeah, and it probably weighed 200
pounds. And it weighed
pounds.
500
right,
pounds.
So,
and, so, I mean, there was a thing. But that was kind of the very beginning of Elvis World. And then the souvenir shops began popping up. And then the little Elvis Hotel down the street, that was, I think at best description, you'd call it a flea bag.
I mean, no
because
offense,
it was
but it's
not
the
it was not high end.
Right.
And so over the years, then of course Elvis passed away in 1977, and honestly, millions and millions and millions of people from around the world, and I'm not exaggerating.
No, it's
hundreds of thousands of people showed up every year for the events, and the management companies involved in all of this have been constantly evolving the Elvis experience. And it used to be kind of, and I hate to say it like this, a little bit low end and tacky.
Well, I don't know that they invested in it as much as they could have.
Well, I think people were just trying to jump in as best they could, as fast as they could.
Mm.
But this has been a much more showpiece, much more a tie-in to the original Graceland in the fact that they were building the museum and the lot and the full experience. So that if you spent, if this was your bucket list something and you were from Scandinavia, Japan, Asia, somewhere in Europe, and you've waited your whole life to go visit this experience,
right?
There is now a very big, modern, clean, safe, and I'm going to throw in that word again, safe experience.
Yeah.
For the big Elvis fan, and it has begun. Now I'm also going to throw in Elvis's appeal has waned over the years because it's been since 1977.
Yeah.
So the Elvis Presley people, with their museum and their facilities, are starting to do exhibits like you saw, Pompeii?
Pompeii.
Of Joe, you and I have attended numerous shows there. I remember one where even of our friend of another show we do, David Desmalchin, was there giving a talk. And
Yeah. Well, we've done we had the convention there before. We've done,
Yeah.
So, but I will say this, it's not just Elvis stuff. It really is a great place for musical history too. It's like you look over there and it's like, oh, well, there's John Lennon's piano, there's Jimi Hendrix's whatever, and you do see the impact that Elvis made on everyone. But I have to say, I really think it's curated well. I love the lighting. I like that you can go into one. I think I like the way it's sort of sectioned off, but it's also got an open appeal. It looks like a little town square that you're in, and it's definitely interesting. I don't even think you could bring your kids. I don't think you have to be an Elvis fan to enjoy this or to enjoy the history that's involved here. So.
Well, it's a bit of what they call an immersive experience. Translation is a lot of open space. And it's not like as we used to say, it's not like an old zoo with all the animals in the cages right there next to you. It's big and it's open, and you get to explore things at your own pace, and you do get to walk around, quote unquote, the Elvis Town Square out there.
Right.
So they can put an awful lot of people in this area, and you don't feel like you're being swamped.
Well, I kind of wanted to get into that when we come back, because logistically, I think it's a real success. I think the way it's set up is appealing. And so we're going to talk about that when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio, discussing Elvis Presley's Memphis.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Oh, look, John, it's red pine. They were going to put flecked linoleum over this beautifully preserved knotty red pine. Most people in this world, John, are
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
All right, I can't totally disagree with them there, Max. And we'll come back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in our Great Moments in Building History, of course, it is Elvis Week, and we've got visitors from around the world here in Memphis. And welcome to any visitors who are listening. If you're not from Memphis, shoot us a hello. Go over to @ToolTalk Radio on Facebook and let us know where you're listening from, or where you're visiting from, I should say. Mm-hmm. But Alan, we're talking about Elvis Presley's Memphis, which is a big complex. And we're really, Max, I know you saw the Pompeii exhibit. That's an additional area that was built. We're talking, this was opened in 2017. It's a 200,000 square foot complex. And this was all in conjunction with opening the guest house at Graceland, and really just making this a world-class destination for Elvis fans, or just anybody that's a music fan. But there's a lot of things about the Elvis Presley's Memphis that Alan, it's things like that you and I notice about stuff, and it has to do sort of, I guess I would say, with logistics and feng shui and the design. And one of the things I like about this place is you kind of mentioned it. Okay, for one thing, you pull up and the parking is convenient. I don't discount that, man. Right. If you've ever gone to Wrigley Field and tried to watch a Cubs game, you know about inconvenient parking, where you park a mile away and whatever. This is convenient parking, and the way it's laid out, We've seen places where you almost feel like you're being funneled through the exhibit, or you're being funneled through the space, and you really don't get time to linger or enjoy it the way you want. This is almost the complete opposite. You can visit at your leisure. You can go to any area you want. It doesn't take forever to get from one place to another. And it's sort of laid out in a way that's inviting. And like you said, you can fit a lot of people in here, and it doesn't feel overcrowded or anything. I think they did a great job with the layout of this. So,
well, having worked down there for a while, of a lot of the issues with the area, basically They were very honest about what they were trying to do. They were very honest about how large all of this was going to be. And they wanted it to be within a certain distance and location of everything. So several years were involved. Now,
Right.
this was not a, hey, we're just going to buy across the street and go do this.
Yeah.
I mean, you were looking at decades of planning, design,
It's a lot of
layout,
acreage, too.
curating.
Yeah. And what to take out of the house and put on display here and what to leave.
What
Yeah.
not to leave, what's connected, what's not. So there was so much to this. And I think when people get there, I think they are pleasantly surprised
Yeah. I
at
would think so.
the level that the Elvis Presley estate and all has been preserved.
Yeah, and it's like because I mean, I like I said, I'm not from Memphis, but obviously I knew Elvis played a big role in this community, and it Max, it kind of ties in with some of what you were saying earlier, where it's like his, whatever you think of his music or whatever, you can't deny the impact that Elvis had on this community, and that really is important, and that should be highlighted and it should be celebrated, and that's what they're doing over here. So.
Well, you're looking at about 200,000 square feet, museums, restaurants, gift shops. You're also looking at a curated approach to presenting the swag. Well, and this gets kind of important because of Elvis Presley Enterprises has been known over the years for very jealously protecting Elvis's image.
Right.
So
Yeah.
this is why you don't see Elvis on every single thing on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
The EAP has cleaned up and monitored how Elvis is presented and his legacy is preserved. So the same company that works with the Elvis Presley Enterprises also takes care of Marilyn Monroe and a couple of other celebrities.
There you go.
So there's a careful, thoughtful curation into how all of this is kept and presented. So, and the fact that they've also expanded their range past just Elvis. Because, here in Memphis, we see all the time who's appearing at the amphitheater they have down there, who's appearing in what show, or what museum exhibit they've brought to town.
Well, I was going to say, it's very, Max, I know you're big into modular design and everything. And the way they've designed this, for one thing, the sound stage over there, I want to say it seats 5,000 or 6,000. And they're, like I said, Alice Cooper's coming in a couple months. They have pretty big names that I think they want to perform there because it's Elvis's
Absolutely.
house and there's a certain cachet there. And, regardless, sometimes, one of the things that bothers me, because I consider myself a Memphian, even though I'm not from, I've lived here long enough. I've lived here longer than I've lived anywhere else. And one of the things that bothers me is I think in our community, sometimes we overlook what a real treasure we are to, from the outside world. There's a lot of people that really love Memphis. They come in and they're like, this is a cool community. And there's a certain, I don't know, from an artist point of view, there's a lot of artists that just think it's a creative hotbed. It's just a cool place to be. And I don't know, and it's something to be proud of, basically, I think. So, but it's definitely celebrated over there at Elvis Presley's Memphis, and they've left room. I guarantee it's going to look a little different there in 20 years because they've left flexibility in their design. So they can expand or change, or
they'll stay to their core, but I like how they didn't build themselves into a corner.
Yeah, exactly.
As I'm a huge proponent of managed white space. And what does that mean?
Tell us, what is that?
Yeah, managed white space is when, all right, so you're getting ready to put in the kiddie pool, you're getting ready to put in the water feature and the fire pit and the barbecue grill. How you do this and the amount of space you leave between things to do stuff becomes very critical as the kids grow up and you have people over. Some things that you thought were a great idea suddenly are now very inconvenient and in the way.
Right.
So I like the fact that so much thought was given to these particular add-ons to the Elvis estate that they were there for crowd management. They were there for the person who's there during peak Elvis week to still have an amazing experience without just being run over by everybody else.
Yeah.
I wanted to conclude with a few texts that we got related to this topic, and maybe also these texts could relate to a topic that we could discuss next week, too.
Okay.
So Joe was saying the thing about the soundstage with this center also has, in addition to having world-class sound, it is also very comfortable to see concerts because he used to see Dream Theater and Tommy Emmanuel, and he's hoping to see Yes when they come too.
Okay, yeah, we've been in there, Joe. I share your view. It's really nice. It's a good space.
And then Norman Rockwell, real quickly, just said it. There's nothing. You can't beat hot ham and Swiss cheese dipped in Thousand Island with regard to your sandwich discussion. And then the last two are Denise and Brew Blaster. Brew Blaster brought up a good point about the idea of insects we don't see around here anymore. And like how Denise was talking about how she has been seeing the female wingless wasp.
Oh no! Stay clear, Denise.
And so
don't pet the pretty bug.
It brings up a good question, though, about bugs that we don't see these days, and also based on location, because, Brew Blaster used to see cicada killers, and he also doesn't see lightning bugs and June bugs as much, and so I think that's an interesting discussion.
All right, well, we got a lot. Okay, well, next week's show is writing itself, but thanks for all the great texts, you guys. Try to text a little earlier in the show. But anyway, it was good to hear from you, and a lot of good discussion today, but it's time to get out of here, you guys. So on behalf of my buddy, Alan Gilbreth, and our pal Max over there behind the glass, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening to Tool Talk Radio, and we'll see you next week.